All right, haves and have not fans. Hope everybody's doing well. We are talking about last night's episode. Whew, boy. Season 9, episode 4, entitled Hidden Bones. Now, to be completely honest, I'd say this has probably been the best episode of this final batch so far. And it did have problems, though. Don't get me wrong on that. So I'm going to give this episode a score of a 7 out of 10. Because I feel like this episode, now I know I might sound like I'm a hypocrite here. It's like, well, Jeremy, last week you were talking about how the show was dragging, how there weren't that many characters. And I spoke for the majority. I mean, a lot of people agreed with me when I said that wasn't just one of the worst episodes of this season so far, but arguably one of the worst episodes of the entire series. That was episode 191, entitled Black Panther. Something I found kind of interesting is if you look at the titles, you have episode 2, which was called Wolves, and now you have episode 11, Black Panther, and then this episode was called Hidden Bones. And to be completely honest, Hidden Bones to me personally, kind of reminds me of hidden characters, because we had some people pop up who damn near I had forgotten about. Like, I had thought about them, but I just haven't thought about the role they would have played in the story, because I felt like with only so many episodes left, we probably would have just had If Loving You Was Wrong with a Julius, Joey kind of situation where these characters were just gone in the abyss and we'll never get any kind of conclusion. But yeah, I did think it was an okay episode. So before going further, make sure you take a moment to hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. I have to say that I was asleep, to be completely honest. Still adjusting to being at home from going outside and, itching because of bug bites and my smaller work area, which is very small in comparison. So I was a bit frustrated. I went to bed like at 7:54 last night. Ironically enough, I woke up when I heard, my ears perked up when I heard Jim saying she killed Amanda. And then I ran to the living room and then saw the preview for next week. And then I went back to sleep until like 3:30. Look, guys, moving in itself was an experience. It wasn't as bad as expected, but trying to adjust to my new settings where the internet is not as fast. I'm already in a bad mood because for whatever reason, Disney Plus isn't working. Wait, I could just try it on my TV. Yeah, I'll do that next. But I need to watch Loki episode 3. But I wanted to do my work first, so I watched House of Pain, Assisted Living, and Haves and Have-Nots. So what did I think of the episode? Again, going back to what I said before, you can tell that these episodes from here on out, maybe we're going to feel a bit congested. What I mean by that is it's going to be so much stuff crammed in there because they're going to try to resolve not everything, but as much as possible before that final episode airs. So we pick up where we left off, where Benny is beating. It's not even, look, I ain't saying I feel bad for Sandy based on like the character we've seen him to be so far in the show, but I'm like, yo, that wasn't even a good fight. If nothing else, that just brought the Malones to shame. I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but in the preview for next week, Sandy's like, I want to kill Benny. Vinny's like, well, why don't you do it? To be completely honest, I feel like if Vinny saw the way that Benny was just tossing Sandy around like a rag doll, I think he would have shot shot Sandy for being an embarrassment to the Malones. I mean, seriously, that was just, I don't know what was worse, the beatdown that Benny gave Sandy, or the fact that this just proves Sandy ain't nothing but a punk because of how he walks around all big and bad. But come on. I mean, you could say, well, Jeremy, remember that Benny kind of gave him a sucker punch, if you will, with that bottle. And I'm like, well, Sandy sat there and saw Benny grab the bottle, so whatever. But there was a point of the scuffle where I think Rihanna kept trying to break it up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Benny shove her back and she fell? Because when, she got between to break him up, saying it was like, you did this. So I could be wrong, but wasn't it Benny that shoved her back? Again, not to sound like a broken record, but I did look at the scene a couple times and it did seem like Benny was the one that shoved her back. Knowingly, I don't think he would have done it on purpose, but in the middle of that scuffle, he was just trying to keep her safe. So Sandy gets up, pretty much I don't know what the hell he was trying to do, trying to be all big and bad by attempting to drag Rihanna off, but Benny wasn't having it. And he basically tells Benny, you messed with the wrong one. So then he goes off and I'm just like, Sandy, you just damn. All right, so the entire time, Rihanna's just trying to ask Benny, like, what's wrong? Like, Benny's trying to make sure she's okay, but Rihanna's like, you have no idea what you just did. And this goes to something that I think I mentioned last week, but I'm still hung up on the fact that Sandy is apparently, this is a retcon because it was established that Sandy was Mitch's cousin. But for whatever reason, Benny kept saying brother. And later on in the episode, Mitch is like, oh yeah, I got a call from my brother. And I'm like, what? But then again, remember, this is Tyler Perry doing everything himself. Not to mention there were some reshoots and everything. And these reshoots took a while. There was a large gap between when this stuff was originally written to when it was, shot and filmed and everything. So I'm not a fan of little details, big details being retconned. They're family regardless, but it just makes things look even weirder when it's like Benny beat the hell out of Mitch's brother, So yeah, but in any case, Benny's like, I know that family. How do you know him? Well, I'm friends with his brother Mitch. And then Rihanna brings up, well, Mitch and Sandy almost killed the last guy I dated. I'm like, wait, what? Mitch? Ooh, okay. So she's more confused about why would you even do this, because even though you don't know me. And I gotta admit, despite the fact that it was a dumb move attacking Malone, I was actually surprised by Benny's gallantry. The fact that I have a mother and a sister and he don't play that, which is within Benny's character. I mean, look at all the times that he beat the shit out of Quincy for messing around with Candace, hurting her. I mean, even before the first time we saw Benny go against Quincy at the strip club, where he drove his car into Quincy's, drug him out the car and beat the hell out of him. Candace told Hannah, why did you say anything about Quincy? You know how Benny gets. You know what happened the last time those two got into it. So I got to give Benny props there. I mean, sure, it may not have been the smartest thing to do, given the fact that this is a Malone, but Benny is not going to stand around and let somebody abuse a woman. So I'm not mad at him for doing what he did. Sure, it's probably going to result in him being killed, and yeah, but it, again, was within his character. So Rihanna just up and leaves, and, she's more worried about him than about herself. And Benny's left alone to foot the bill, and I have no idea who's going to pay for damages. Now, don't get me wrong. Remember in the episode where, a couple episodes ago where, Justin set himself on fire and the patrons of the restaurant were kind of just against the wall looking. Again, nobody had a camera phone out. Where were the restaurant managers or, security detail? Just saying, there are a few pieces missing from this puzzle. But we go over to the next scene, and Conley is calling Candace to see if he can come down to Savannah to meet with her just to talk. And, Candace is always asking the same thing. Did Charles put you up to this? Did Charles put you up to this? No, it's just the fact that I feel like you are a good fit for him. It's just the fact that, I just want to talk to you, sit down. If I can have 15 minutes of your time. Candace doesn't want to hear it, so she hangs up. Mitch comes out of the bathroom because, remember, he had to get dressed. And Candace is actually wearing a different outfit. Remember, she was wearing the same outfit last episode that she went into the bathroom in, saying she had to change. But now she's in a black t-shirt and everything. So they were going out to dinner, but Sandy... Oh, my brother's been calling 4 times. So he picks up the phone, and the first thing Sandy says is that Vinny wants to talk to you, but then he also says, hey, I'm going to kill the black kid. And then he basically explains the situation. Yeah, Rihanna was out with him tonight for dinner. And then Mitch is like, well, you two have broken up. Well, I'm going to kill him. He smashed me upside the head with a bottle. So he said, wait, where are you at? You're at St. Claude's? Wait, is it St. Claude? Basically, are you at the hospital? Yeah, I'll be down there to see you first. If Vinny can wait, you got 20 minutes. So basically, Mitch is trying to stop Vinny. Sorry, I'm getting the names mixed up. Mitch is trying to stop Sandy from telling Vinny in order to, kill Vinny. And, Mitch tries to put on well, hey, his sister, Mama Rose, they're all on good terms, so they got protection. But then Sandy's like, oh, wait, no. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That protection thing is null and void because, Mama Rose and Vinny are mad at you because they know you lied. So Mitch tells Candace to get deliveries, stay in, don't go anywhere, and call your brother to tell him to come back and don't go out. So Benny actually comes in at that very moment as Mitch rushes off. So we go over to Don, who's visiting Catherine in jail, and is like, hey, what are you doing here? You're supposed to talk to Hannah if you need anything. So Don basically says, hey, I tried calling Hannah multiple times, haven't been able to get in contact with her. Catherine, takes his phone and calls instead. Hannah actually picks up, basically saying, hey, I'm worried about Jim and everything. Is like, well, hey, hurt Jim if you need to and do it for me. But basically she calls out Don for the bull crap, and Don just says, hey, me and Jim, we just feel like you should split the power between us as opposed to giving it to your maid. And Catherine just says, hey, she was there with me. She knew about my cancer when nobody else did. She took care of me better than any kind of nurse or even my own mother. I trust her when she could have taken millions. When I lied to her in regards to, I believe, the hit and run, she forgave me. I trust her. I don't trust anybody else. So Jim, Don, Marty, nobody's getting anything. Speaking of Marty, wasn't he supposed to have come by already? And speaking of Hannah, it's late in the night. So shouldn't the people have come by the house with the damn paperwork for her to sign to foreclose on everything Veronica owns? Bad continuity. So, we go over to Leo and Jeffrey. Leo comes in and says, Mr. Harrington. So Jeffrey goes outside and Tanner's there. And he's like, I have no idea why I'm even here, but I had something for you, but I didn't bring it. I'm really over this story. Look, Justin's storyline should have died the moment he set himself ablaze, and we should have been done with it. Even if it meant Pearl not coming back. Just like, I don't care about this crap. I don't even know how to explain this scene. I feel like I was as confused during this scene as Jeffrey was. Basically, the fact, oh yeah, my brother, I didn't really know him that well. And, could you tell me what he was into? And it was funny because Jeffrey was actually kind of competent here. He was like, oh yeah, the HIV thing, you didn't know him as well as you think. He didn't have HIV. I don't have it. Oh yeah, I'm sorry for the scare. And you know what? You sound like your brother now. You're not taking no for an answer. And then Tanner comes to call him out. I was like, wait, are you trying to say I'm queer or gay or whatever? And you should come to the service. And Jeffrey's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So then Tanner gets in his car and then leaves as David arrives. And then David just asks, who is that, son? Nobody important. That's the brother of the man who killed himself trying to take you with him and whose mother blames you, yet you gave the address and Tanner showed up unexpectedly. Yeah, see, this is the kind of crap where I actually like Jeffrey in this scene, but it's too far and in between we have scenes like this where Jeffrey's actually smart and calculating, but then all of a sudden he goes back to being a moron. So you don't tell your dad about Tanner, and what's going to happen is something major is like either a bombing or an explosion or a shootout. And all this could have been avoided or at least protected against if you had told your dad about this. Or better yet, just never gave Tanner the address. But then again, with Tanner being Tanner, kind of like his brother, he probably would have followed Jeffrey anyway, which in a way I would have blamed Jeffrey less for. But you literally invited the wolf into the chicken coop. Alright, so Madison is patching up Sandy, and Sandy's going on a rant about how he's going to kill the black kid, and Madison calls him out. Sir, if you keep talking like that, I'm going to have to report you, call the police for a hate crime. Sandy's like, call the police, because, well, we know how the Malones are with these police. Speaking of which, what about that one cop that Vinny shot in the head? Is he still alive, or what? So, any case, Madison steps out of the room real quick, and Mitch actually comes in. And he says, you're not going to tell Vinny about the situation with Vinny. And Sandy's like, no. See, that ain't going to fly. Well, actually, I kind of jumped ahead earlier in the review. I've already talked about how Rose and Vinny are mad at Mitch because they know he lied, so that protection isn't in effect anymore. So Mitch rushes out of the hospital room and calls Vinny and tells him not to leave the hotel under any circumstance. And we saw the preview for next week, and we know how well that's going to turn out. So Wyatt is calling for a nurse over and over and over again. And given the fact that Madison stepped out of the room with Sandy, I would imagine that nobody else went to answer Wyatt's call. So he went in there just to shut it down because this dude kept hitting the button for a nurse. And apparently Wyatt threw piss at somebody. Well, no, it was water. No, it was piss. Well, yeah, it was water when it went in. So basically, he goes on again about I need my cup so I can pee or whatever. So Madison, for some reason, decides to put himself in a vulnerable position by reaching over the bed instead of walking to the other side of the bed to get the cup to give to Wyatt, which allowed Wyatt to put him in like a leg lock, scissor headlock or whatever. And after a few seconds, Madison agrees to untie him, and then Wyatt continues to headlock until he can't breathe and he passes out. I got a question. In the preview, you know, we see Madison's face turn like purple, pink, blue, whatever. I was under the impression that Madison was in that hold for so long that before he passed out, that's when he finally agreed to untie Wyatt. That way, you know, he could be released from the hold but then pass out regardless. But no, it's like he was barely in that hold for like 5 seconds, and then he decided to untie Wyatt, allowing him to escape. What? So then Wyatt takes his, uniform, and I did kind of chuckle when he was going for the pants, like, ooh, you're not wearing underwear? Okay, that was actually kind of funny. So, again, wasn't there supposed to be a cop standing outside of Wyatt's store? Nobody recognized this guy who was on the news for shooting his parent or father. Nobody. I mean, I'm not an expert. I haven't, thank the Lord, I haven't been inside of a hospital and Lord knows when, but isn't there like a security checkpoint or whatever for like a member of the staff to kind of clock out before they leave? So Wyatt went down the hallway. He was opening like a bunch of doors, and he finally used a pass to open one that had a bunch of pills in there. And then he just escapes, and I'm like, what? But then again, you might think this is ridiculous, but no, nothing beats the time he stole that one pin from a nurse and used it to unlock his handcuffs, and in full hospital attire, I'm talking his hospital gown and all, he was able to escape from the hospital and somehow run all the way from the hospital to Catherine's house, break in, change clothes, get car keys, take one of the rides, and then drive off. So this actually isn't as ridiculous as that. I will say that much. So from there, Don goes over to Catherine's house to see Jim, basically says, hey, no luck with Catherine. Anything else you need me to do? Jim's like, no, you can go. So then from there, Jim calls Akil. And remember, Mama Rose was the one who threatened to put one of Little Lizzie's relatives in Catherine's cell. But no. Jim has Akil get Diamond Castile arrested and then put her in the same cell as Catherine to scare her but not hurt her. Remember, Candace tried the exact same thing with Malik to get Hannah to sign over the documents to wire the money back to her account instead of her and Benny's joint account. And we saw what happened to Malik, so I don't know. So in any case, Marco, who is the guy working for Veronica, he just casually walks into Akil's car with a gun pointed on him, and they drive off into the night. This is why you need to lock your car doors, kids. It's kind of funny because in last week's House of Pain, Floyd's car got robbed because, not because he unlocked the doors, had the doors unlocked, but because he had the window cracked. But in this case, Marco just casually walks into Akil's car because the doors weren't locked. Okay, whatever floats your boat. So from there, we go over to Veronica's house, and Marco calls her to let her know she's safe. She's able to travel freely because, he has Akil at gunpoint. So basically, one of Veronica's hitmen are off the market right now because remember, the Hood is allegedly still conspiring against her, but the guy that Jim had is, incapacitated at the moment. So she pretty much yells saying, Laura, hey, I'm heading out for a little while, but we don't see Laura. So we get a pretty much extended shot of Veronica. They really want to show off the car, which is nice. So we get a exterior shot of Veronica in the car. She's driving off, and Laura actually looking fine as hell. Maybe because I haven't seen her in so long, but yeah, she fine as hell. She comes out of the back. Samuel walks in, and the stiff acting begins. So I'll just kind of briefly go over this scene. So basically, he asked about how the situation's going. Laura actually has Veronica's account numbers. Next thing, she's trying to get the social security numbers. And like, wait, do you think she did a background check on you? Because remember, she did a background check on both him and her. But apparently, Laura isn't even her real name. She did a background check on Laura, but not her real name. And Samuel's like, hey, we better tread lightly. The last time we got involved in the house situation, we got caught because you got greedy. And, yeah, they even go into detail about how, I was going to tell her a story about my mom, but she cut me off. Well, I told her we had a son that died. And she pretty much says, hey, you need to seduce her. And it's like, well, hey, she's trying to get me in bed with her. Well, yeah, you arranged that. Well, you don't like that. So basically, because she's jealous. So they're going to arrange something, and within 3 weeks, they'll be out of there. But lo and behold, we ain't got no 3 weeks. Well, I doubt we're even going to cover the span of 3 days before this series ends. So I feel like now that we know even more about their plan, and neither one of them asked about Derek. Okay. So, he'll arrange for sex or something like that, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to work out. So we go over to Wyatt's loft, and a girl comes in that apparently he knows. So did Wyatt call this girl up after he escaped from the hospital? Hey, meet me at my place. Because she just casually walks in, and Wyatt was like, wait, is this a free-for-all? What's going on here? And basically she wants in on some of the pills. Some of the pills are opium, which are very strong and deadly. And it's like, hey, can I get some pills for Heather? Because she's always looked out for you. No. So basically, Wyatt just kicks her out. Actually, before that, she asked about what it was like shooting your father. I've heard of people who shot people, but I never asked him what it was like. So basically, she gets the boot. And then Broderick comes in, and then they have an exchange about, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? It's like, oh, wait, you're Catherine's son. Oh, wait, you're banging my mom. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. But they're going to get along just fine, because the moment that Broderick calls him out for, hey, you're doing my coke, and it's like, wait, can you give me more of this stuff? Well, yeah, okay, fine. We can arrange it. We can both stay here. I'll let you stay here, no problem. Just get some more drugs, and we'll be good to go. But even Broderick notices, like, wait, did you raid a hospital to steal from a nurse? Something like that. So, again, as long as Broderick got the drugs, Wyatt's going to be cool with him. And he's like, wait, are those my car keys? Yeah, your mom said I could drive it while I was fine. Whatever, just go get the coke. So the final scene is Celine is waiting on Catherine's stoop. Jim is on the phone. He peeks out of the window and then goes outside to confront her about it. She's like, look, my rent's due. I need to pay tuition for the private school for our son. Then, Jim ain't hearing none of that. So then Veronica again, they really wanted to milk Veronica in this episode. What I mean by milk is, in the couple of scenes she's in, they really want to emphasize her demeanor, her vehicle, her dress, and everything. So I think it was probably to make up for her not being in last week's episode. So that's why we have these extended shots on her. So she basically sashays herself from the car to the front step and basically tells Jimmy, you got 24 hours to give Celine $50,000 or you'll be in jail. And, he calls her out for like, oh, yeah, what judge signed this? Yeah, you probably screwed him, too. Yeah, and he liked it. But then he basically goes on that, man, I'm not giving her nothing because she should be in jail right now. Wait, for what? For killing Amanda. And then the episode cut off right there. See what I mean? This episode was pretty decent, but I feel like a lot of elements are just being thrown into the blender and served in the single cup. What I mean is, yeah, this episode did a good job of jumping to various scenes, getting a lot of characters, but at the same time, it just feels so rushed. But, yeah, it was okay. So I give it a 7 out of 10. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. There are a lot of things that just made no sense in the context of the continuity of the show, but whatever. We're at the halfway point. We got 4 episodes left. So let me know your thoughts, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.